Hey everyone, welcome back to No Reservations. This is Kasey Anton, and this is my fun little podcast. And I do mean it's fun. I love it. I have so much fun talking to myself on these things. And that is actually not sarcasm. I actually do love to talk about this stuff. So today is episode 10. Can't believe 10 fun episodes. That's exciting. This one is about nurturing a positive work culture. So, first, let me start out with if you are watching this on YouTube or on video and you see me, I apologize. I have no makeup on. I look a little ragged. It is April vacation week. So, hopefully, enough said about that. My kids are older, but I still have to drive one of them around to camps and stuff like that. So, why bother getting dressed or wearing makeup? I'm in a car most of the day. But I wanted to get this episode in the can for you because it's a super, super important one. And then I'm taking the next 2 days off. And I hope you are too, because taking some time off to refill your cup is so important. All right. So back to a positive work culture. This is a hot topic, right? Now, I have learned a lot about this along the way. A lot. Like, where do I begin? I have been a boss, right? I've had employees since I was a teenager. On a small scale, I started and ran the student store in my high school. So, in that way, I was bossed around my friends to work the student store. But even beyond that, I have always taken positions where I was in some type of managerial role and always had to be in charge of someone or someone's usually. And all of that leading up to when I got my first restaurant management job at the Chart House restaurant. I talk about this in the book. And they moved me to Long Wharf, where I was a very young assistant general manager and had like almost 50 or 60 employees, all older than me. I think every one of them was older than me, as a matter of fact. And I was a terrible manager, but I just started out. I tried to be a good manager, but I was probably terrible at it. Although I have stayed friends with a bunch of them, so maybe that's a win. But I wasn't trying to be friends with them then. That is something that I did know. I have to say I have learned a lot along the way. One thing I knew from the beginning is that my employees were not my friends, and I don't mean that in any harsh way or whatever. It's just an easier way to set a boundary, to set boundaries between being a leader, being their boss, and being their friend. You cannot be both. If somebody has figured out a way to do that easily, I'd love to hear it. I've just never seen that done. Certainly not if you're in a ambitious type of business like myself. I'm just an ambitious person, but I'm always trying to grow. It would be too difficult, too dramatic, too emotional to try and also manage friendships along the way as well. So I keep a barrier up as much as I absolutely adore, and love all of my employees. And that is not always the case, but it is right now. I have to say that my team right now, every single one of them, I would go on vacation with, is how much I like them. Even with that all said, I would not say these are my friends. These are my colleagues, because the relationship is just different. So that's number one. It is important as a boss, as an owner, as a leader, as a manager, to make sure that the line is drawn there in order to be effective. It doesn't mean you can't be friendly. It doesn't mean you can't go have a great time. It doesn't mean you can't even spend time with them outside of work. We have parties here. We do after-hour things. You can do all that. It's just different. It's just a different thing to say, oh, this is my best friend, or this is my good friend. It's just a very different way to interact. So I recommend I keep the line in the sand when it comes to that. Okay, so then moving on from that, other than being an owner and a manager or a leader or all of the above, and just making sure that you maintain that stance. And I think a visual that's coming to my mind right now is kind of, in a way, being on a pedestal, which probably sounds terrible because I certainly don't mean that any boss should ever be put on a pedestal. But it's more like just standing on your own and you're the only one that can really fit there. Or maybe if you have co-managers or business partners, whatever, maybe they can be on this stand with you. But you can't allow anyone else up. That's the thing. You need to be on this stand. Pedestal is probably the bad word to use there. And there can only be room for the other leaders, just like you, equal to you, on there. Everyone else is different, and you want to lead them which doesn't always, even if it means getting into the trenches with them on a busy night, whatever it is, that's great. I often can get into the trenches here too and helping out during our busy time. You still have to come out of the trenches because otherwise nobody's driving the ship, right? And that's your job. So that's number one. Another thing I'd like to mention about work culture is very, very much contingent on who you hire. So how do you hire the right people? I am still a work in progress when it comes to this. I have tried so many different systems, techniques, assessments, you name it. And right now we have what we call the gauntlet. So anyone who wants to be hired here has to go through our gauntlet in order to be hired. Here's what I love about this. If it's too much, if it's just too much work, too much energy, too much time for someone, they're going to peace out early on. Then neither one of us are going to waste our time. And that's a great filtering mechanism. And I had to say, this all started, once again, I'm just going to back to the chart house, mentioning the chart house again, because back in the day when I worked there, anyone who got hired for any position had to work in every single position in the restaurant. You had to get that viewpoint. And it wasn't like for an hour, like you actually were scheduled and worked in that position for an entire shift. Sometimes you'd try an entire week or two. You would work in those shifts to really ingratiate yourself in that position, to have a better point of view and a perspective on how we all work. But as a manager, you really had to work weeks and weeks at a time in every position. But and I hated it. I mean, some of it I hated. I hated the double shifts. I hated butchering fish because I'm not a seafood eater. I didn't love being a dishwasher at night. It's a dirty job and doing all the garbages. I did love being a valet, but I wouldn't want to do that perfectly. But it was fun to drive all those nice fancy cars for a while. I would never want to do that as a permanent job. Don't love cars that much, especially like all the stick shifts and stuff, which thank God I learned on a standard, but driving like an old Porsche was very difficult for me, especially in Boston. It was just not fun. I definitely enjoyed learning how to bartend. I already knew how to serve. I mean, there were certain positions I liked more than others. But what it did was when I finally finished and I was becoming a manager, I just had a whole new respect for what every single person did in that organization. And it certainly made me a better manager. So I've tried to do that here, although, we're not a restaurant here at Spark Business Consulting, right? So we are basically bookkeeping, accounting, and profit first professionals. We pretty much all do the same thing or something very similar, just with different industries. But I did at one point try and follow that model where we'd have assistants and everyone had to start as an assistant to somebody else and you move your way up. And I thought it was a great idea, but I learned the hard way here that that's actually doesn't work for what we do. But I learned by trial and error. And now I know that when we hire, it makes sense to do a lot more testing, quizzes, and a lot more interview process and throwing them into situations and figuring out how they would address certain situations. That's how we can kind of pick out our 5-star fit employee. In the restaurants, I would highly recommend that you follow that chart house, the old chart house model. I don't have to do it anymore, where when you hire someone, you say, hey, you want to be the lead bartender? You want to be a manager? Great. Part of the training process is that you're going to work in these, and maybe it's not every position, although I recommend it. Maybe you pick 3. Maybe you say, you're going to be a food runner, and have you work behind the bar, and you're going to be a server. Maybe it's one night or whatnot. Because you'll learn so much about that person in those different shifts, right? Or definitely they should work in the kitchen. And if it's a kitchen member, they should work in the front of the house, right? Hopefully everyone's already doing that as is. So it's important because if they say no, or if they don't take it seriously, or if they just kind of don't give it their all, that's not the type of person you want working for you. So that's another great filtering method, is just to make sure that you have people work in the different positions and not just for 30 minutes. Give them a role and have them do that. But design your own gauntlet for your business. And we still, like I said, we have a gauntlet here. The chart house had a gauntlet. You design what you think is best. And maybe you can get your current employees involved on what they would want to see a new person go through before they kind of make it to the end. because working for you should be the golden carrot. It should be. It should be something that somebody takes seriously and does not take for granted, and is super grateful that they have a job with you. And hopefully you in turn provide them with a fantastic working opportunity. But look at it from that angle. Look at it from, hey, you're lucky to be working here because I treat my employees so well, and I'm going to show you that. And in order to get here, these are all the different type of tests, so to speak, you have to pass. So designing your own gauntlet. We actually have a blog through our webpage, so sparkbusinessconsulting.com, and we have a blog page in there. And there's a blog that I talk about. I show what our gauntlet looks like and the different aspects of that. If you're interested, definitely go there and check that out. So that's the hiring recruitment phase of starting the work culture. It's who you're bringing in, how you're vetting them out from definitely different angles, and really spending the necessary time to procure the right fits for your business. Because I will tell you what, I am all too often in the hot seat where I'm like, oh my God, we just got a ton of work in. I need a body, a living, breathing body. Hopefully they can figure out how to turn on a computer. Let's go. We'll figure out how to train them later. I just need someone in there. Always a mistake. Never, ever works out. So another thing I would just add to that is to make sure you stay ahead of your hiring. Always be hiring. That might be a quote you've heard before. I learned that many years ago, and it's true. Always, meaning always be on the lookout. Always have some type of virtual bench is a phrase that my friend Danielle Mulvey, who owns the All In Company, which specializes in this area, has always mentioned to me. Which means that you're out there networking, or you're coming across a great resume of someone that you think would be a great fit, and maybe you don't have the money or the workload to afford this person right now, but somehow figure out a systematized way to stay in touch with them. So when it does come up, you can easily pick up the phone or the email and just say, hey, I know that we didn't have room, or we wasn't a good time for us 6-8 months ago, 2 years ago. We happen to have this position. Would you be interested? So that's how you build the bench. And even though if you don't offer the person a job right away, and they're probably going to go take another job because they have bills to pay, of course, and that's fine. If you can't afford them, you don't need them right now, let them go do that. But it doesn't hurt to pick up the phone 6 months, a year, 2, 10 years from now, and just say, hey, thinking of you. Remember when we met? We have a position. Just thought I would put it out there in case you were interested in interviewing for it, because you never know what's going on with the world. So virtual bench, super important to have. Okay, so now that's the gauntlet. That's how we're building our recruitment funnel, how we're hiring, bringing them through the different aspects of your business, seeing how they work in different environments, etc. And now, hopefully, once they go through this whole gauntlet, there's a good, I'm going to tell you, if you do it right, it's a good 90% chance, if not more, that they are a perfect fit. And that it's just so nice to have all the right fits in your business. Trust me, I have that right now. I don't always have it. I haven't always have it right now. And it is just like, clear skies is what it feels like. It's a beautiful day. So do that, you get there. And then within your business, once everybody is on board and the culture part of it, a lot of it stemmed from the hiring, but then you keep it going. I would treat, who doesn't like to have a birthday celebration? We keep track of all of that. And if you follow us on Instagram or Facebook, you've probably seen some of the things we do here. It is not expensive. It takes some time. That's it. Not even a lot of time. We have it very well organized and mapped out every year, everyone's birthdays and everybody's work anniversaries here. And then my marketing director, who started out as my VA, and she did this then. So even if you have an assistant or an office person or a VA you use, have this be one of their tasks where they keep track of your work anniversaries, the birthdays, or any other important event that you want to keep track of, and have that person alert you a month before. Hey, so-and-so's birthday is coming up next month, or so-and-so's work anniversary is coming up. And then you're not last minute Larry trying to plan something for it. And what you want to do for it is completely up to you, your goals, how you want your culture to be experienced by your staff. The sky's the limit on what you want to do. It could be as simple as, I want everyone wish Mary happy birthday today. It could be as simple as that. That costs you nothing. That literally takes under 2 seconds to do. You could get a card. You could have a birthday club set up where it automatically sends whoever a birthday card or something every year if you want it. You just have to remember to shut it off when they leave you, right? There's just a million different ways you can do that. But just the acknowledgement of that and doing something to make it fun. Maybe you play one of those, 50-cent birthday songs at your pre-service, throw a cupcake at the person. It doesn't even have to be you, if I'm speaking to the owner or manager right now. You can assign somebody in your business to be the quote unquote designated motivator. That's another blog that we have, something that I learned from a speaker from many, many years ago that we incorporate here, where every quarter somebody else is assigned as to be a designated motivator, and it's their job to create all the fun for the birthdays and the different things that we do here, so it doesn't lay on one person, and everybody has their own unique twist on it, so it makes it super fun to do. But really it all just comes down to just the acknowledgement of that person, that they're important to you and that something important is happening to them and you want to acknowledge that. That can go a really long way with company culture. But in the restaurant business, you guys have pre-service, you have family meals. And if you don't, make that happen. There's a whole chapter on that in my book, and I also have tools I created. Profit First, the number 4 restaurants.com. There are tools on there for huddles and pre-service shifts that you can download and just use. But this is really where your culture can just spark right up. So many things can happen there. You set the tone for the service over your family meal. There are so many wonderful things and memories and accolades that could happen there. So I absolutely implore you, if you're not already practicing pre-service meetings, that you do that in your restaurant right away. And this isn't necessarily staff trainings. As a matter of fact, I'd like to keep those two things separate. But some businesses do use it as both. And if you have to, you have to. But I would invite you to, that was a new phrase, I would invite you to try and separate those two things, because I feel like the training, the menu testing, the wine list learning, all that stuff, I would say that is important, but should be company-wide, maybe a Sunday morning or however you want to do it, and treat that like a training session that it is. And that is separate from a pre-service, which is supposed to really pump people up, play some funky live music for 1 to 2 minutes during it. You really want to get people excited and invigorated and joyful so they can bring that to your guests before the service starts. So pre-services should be fun. There can be some information, of course, the number of reservations, any VIPs or big parties or set menus, etc. Got it. That's important, and that's not training. That's just information. But more than half of it should just be fun. The celebrations that I just talked about that you could be happening, but also announcing contests can be fun. I'm going to be writing something very soon about different contests that we ran on a regular basis. And anytime we ran a contest, just because in general people can be competitive, we sold out of whatever I was trying to get rid of. For example, if you want to get like a 5-case wine drop because this one bottle of wine's on sale, right, only for the next month or two, and you have to buy 5 cases to get the discount, you know what I mean, but you're like, I don't know if I want to sit on 5 bottles of wine, run a contest, and you can watch your servers and partners get really, really clever on how they're going to sell this thing. The same for side dishes, one of my favorite contests to run, because it's something that it just gets lost in the busyness, and servers don't think to often mention them, especially if you're not even an a la carte restaurant where they're going to have the sides included on the plate. But just a nice little suggestion of, that would go great with that if you guys want to split the side of so-and-so, like our customers love that. But your staff will get creative with it. Just run a contest and see what they come up with. Plenty more ideas with that coming down the pike. So that's culture. And I know it's a lot of the front of the house. The back of the house, absolutely the same thing. You can have your own culture back there. That will really come down from the chef and the sous chef, their staff meal. Maybe it's a lunch, a family meal lunch, however they want to do it. But it really, I have to say, in the end, culture is about connecting, eye to eye, communicating, being upfront and honest, and making sure also that you're hiring the right people, you have the five-star fits, and that you have some type of employee journey scheduled out for each person when they get hired based on the reviews, whether we do a 30, 60, 90-day review, and then usually a 1 year. If we have to do a 6 month, we will, depending. And we do different things for the different anniversary marks that we have here. And I think that right now the employees look forward to each one of those milestones they hit, because something different it's going to like unlock a new door for them, and something fun will happen. And again, I'm not talking about expense. Well, right now for me, I'm just taking each one out for lunch, which, costs a few bucks, but it's actually completely expensible. And that 1 hour of time together and just discussing whatever it is they want to discuss has really garnered a ton of wonderful feedback for me and for Spark here. So it's something that I continue to do, and it's great. And right now I have employees who have been with me for 12 years. I think she's almost at 10 years now, 7 years, 6 years, 5, 4, and then I think the last few have been our newest ones, who have been about a year and a half, and then 6 months. Oh, and then Marianne, who just started a few months ago, and I could already tell she's loving it, and she's just such a great fit. Okay, so this is a little bit longer than I like to run these bite-sized podcasts. We're at 21 minutes now, so I'm going to wrap it up, but I hope you got some ideas of ways that you can work on your company culture. It doesn't just happen in the background while you sit and observe. It is something that is active. It's something you participate in, whether you want to or not. There's a whole chapter in my book, Profit First Restaurants, about company culture, and Five Guys Burgers and Fries. Something they do, I think, is really interesting. So get the book or reach out to us, and happy to share more information on that. So once again, thank you so much for listening. Please like, share, comment, review, whatever, this podcast, so it can get into the eyes and ears of other restaurateurs. And with that, I'll say bye. Thank you.